We're pleased to be visiting on, I believe, the second day of his work as interim school superintendent, welcoming Dr. John Reed in here to the Newtown Bee to talk a little bit about the district and what he's seeing so far, and perhaps some issues about the upcoming budget. So, Dr. Reed, let me start by asking you, first of all, about the landscape of the Newtown School District since you departed as superintendent. Are there any important similarities, practices, or traditions that may have been maintained or even apparently strengthened since you were identified as the interim superintendent?
Well, John, I appreciate the question, and you're probably giving my powers of observation far too much credit. In the day and a half that I've been back in the role as acting superintendent of schools, I'm just beginning to familiarize myself with the practices in the district. I can say this, I certainly know many of the people who remain in the district, and I think that the consistency that was apparent in the hiring practices that we had as a very essential mission of the school system seem to have been maintained. I've met a number of people as I've been to the schools that it was a pleasure to meet. I sense their enthusiasm and look forward to working with them. And I think a lot of the components in the district, I would assume, are here. But it's been, John, it'll be 11 years this June since I've retired, so I would expect just through normal changes in personnel that I'm certainly expect to find differences. We have a Board of Education meeting tonight. The board's organizational patterns in terms of we used to have a workshop meeting where there was no voting done, issues studied. The next week was an action meeting. That format has changed. The actual agenda and how it's laid out. You have a consent agenda that was not a part of something that I was familiar with. So I think almost every place I turn, I do see what I would consider to be predictable and understandable changes. There have been 2 superintendents of schools with the school system since I retired. So I think what I see is in the range of what I expected to see as far as those kinds of changes. I think what has confronted me as something that's different is obviously what everybody in Newtown is unfortunately so terribly aware of. Certainly the circumstances are profoundly different given what happened on December 14th. The school system, as will the town, be dealing with those circumstances and the implication for individuals and their own mental health and their own way of putting what happened in some kind of context that they can live with throughout the rest of their life. On a cautionary note, I sometimes sense from some people that are in the region and beyond, and even sometimes in Newtown, a hunger to return to December 13th and have their lives resume, because this tragedy, I speak for myself, has profoundly impacted me, and I expect it'll be with me in some form the rest of my life. But I see people struggling to want to return, and sometimes in their desire to do so, they can feel compelled to sort of hope that everybody is as far along the road to putting their personal reaction and how they're coping with it in perspective, and in a sense they're further down the road of recovery. So occasionally I will feel that there can be perhaps not everybody understands that there's still, in my mind, I'm speaking for the school system or about the school system, a number of people who are profoundly impacted by this, and that to me is totally normal. Everything I've heard about this kind of traumatic experience says that you can have things that you may think you're handling it well, and 6 months later or a year later, or in some cases 2 or 3 years later, some trigger can occur, and at that point you find out that you're not handling this well. So in looking at matters like the budget, I think it's important for people to understand that some years I could stand before the town and say I have a reasonable understanding of what the needs of the school system are. I think it's more fluid. I don't know what all the needs of the children are going to be. I don't know what all the needs of the adults in the school system are through the next 12 months. And by that I mean I don't know whether we're going to have staff members that can't continue and need to be not at work for a period of time. And I don't know if we're going to have children whose parents will come to us and say that they're in need of special programs outside of the school system.
So, Dr. Reed, it seems like you're describing from at least a recovery situation a dynamic where a lot of people would like to see everyone healing at the same rate, or to have come the same distance in their area of personal recovery, and yet you're seeing a highly individualized rate of recovery.
And listen, I don't pretend to have first-hand knowledge of each and every child in the school system. The only place that I've spent significant time since December has been at the Sandy Hook School, and I just think that I'm just trying to sensitize everybody from what I've read. It's very normal to have variations, and we all should understand, expect that, and validate that in people who experience them. That's all. And we're just going to have to be patient with one another, and of course optimistic. And I think a personal responsibility I feel is to try to model for the people that I work with on a daily basis the kind of behavior which contributes to obviously the successful functioning of the school system and the personal needs of the people who are a part of the school system.